All right, then we'll begin right here.
Okay.
And we had covered, the newest development relative to um, the scientific studies that have come up. The latest one has been this, as it relates to us, has been this human photosynthesis, and the comparison was between plants, the biology and physiology of plants, and the biology and physiology of humans, making this correlation. And as plants utilize chlorophyll, water, and sunshine to carry out the process of photosynthesis, the new discovery, or the supposedly new discovery, I'm making a little air quotes, the supposedly new discovery is that humans perform the same function. However, they use melanin, water, and sunlight, and not just sunlight, because melanin can absorb the full spectrum of electromagnetic energy, the full spectrum of light. Melanin utilizes that full spectrum in order to produce energy, to produce energy. And it produces it, Nasi, at a far greater and far more efficient rate. It's it's not even
Right. That just makes sense.
it's not even close. So
Right.
this this has a number of implications, and we're going to get into that today. But before we get into uh, those paradigm shifting implications, uh, I want to point something out again to the family. And I see we did this yesterday. Remember, I had made the statement that there are many people that are out there talking about this 12 strand DNA activation, right?
Okay. Right.
And I had made
Uh-huh.
the statement that if they are not including melanin
Right.
in that equation, that that they are either ignorant of the facts, in other words, they don't know what they don't know, or they are being deliberately um, deceptive, and they don't really want to expose the essential nature of melanin. All right. In this study, in this particular study that came out in 2012, and these dates are going to be interesting, Nasi, came out in April of 2012. They even addressed the the fact that the scientific community at large, number one, either didn't understand what melanin was or understood it, and because of uh, racial and ethnic, a racial or ethnocentric viewpoint,
Right.
purposely
Right.
left it out. So,
Right. Right.
we addressed this in some previous classes, and we must continue to bring it up. The one thing that I want to show you all, and which is really special for this group, and emphasize, is that now see we are right on the cutting edge of this. And the way that I'll prove that is I went to YouTube and I just put in melanin 12 strand DNA. Watch what happens.
Okay.
What comes up first are our classes.
What?
What comes up first is our classes. Now, I have not done any search engine enhancement. I don't even know nothing about that. All,
Wow.
all I do when I post these things is to, put a title on them, give some brief information about that. So this comes up right away. This is extraordinary. And this is
Yes, it is.
these are the last two classes that we've done. One 4 days ago that I posted, and the other one yesterday, a day ago. And again, you have these topics, these other topics that come up, understanding ascension, DNA, 2-strand to 12-strand DNA. Let me activate your 12-strand DNA, light and love. I don't even want to look at that one. It's so funny. And you have most of this coming from a Eurocentric um, perspective with individuals that are melanin recessive that are doing these things, and they're not including melanin. Now we scroll down,
Right.
and I wanted to show you that one is not coming up. But even when they talk about melanin in there, it's a European, melanin recessive individual that's talking about it. So we are the only ones that are
Right. Right.
that are bringing the real on this. Not afraid to be politically correct, not afraid of being, accused of, as being racist, which we're not. We're just putting the facts forward and putting all of the elements into the equation, not for any family racial pride reasons or nothing like that, but the fact that scientifically that and from a procedural standpoint, all of these things fit together,
Yeah.
and we are in a unique position, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. So the other day, Nasi, just like when I came up with this information on human photosynthesis, it occurred like 10 or 15 minutes before the class began. And I was putting together the notes, and something told me, my inner voice, my higher self said, uh, put in melanin and DNA, 12-strand DNA. And I put it into the Google search engine, and it came up with this human photosynthesis. And that really connected it to,
Now, let me ask you a question.
uh,
Let me ask you a question there. Is that the first time you had come in contact with the idea of human photosynthesis?
no, that's what I was getting ready to say. The reason why it resonated
Okay.
so much because I had included this, for no other reason that's what the ancestors led me to. I had included this into these notes that were developed,
Gotcha.
months ago, that I put together months ago.
Gotcha.
Where we talking about photosynthesis, and it just leads right in to the other information. I'm just, uh, as we come into the knowledge of new information and new research. Like right here, I'm just finding the particular document where I talked about photosynthesis, and then cutting and pasting this information into it. Now see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show you the other day when I was preparing the information. I was, like 15 minutes. I was going over my notes, and again, the inner voice said, "Put in human photosynthesis. See what comes up." And I put it in, and I clicked on images, and all of these images came up. And
Wow.
most of the information, or a good deal of the information, well, I mean, you see this the imagery that they are combining plants, the plant form with the human, right?
Right.
And see, this goes back to the green man and everything that
Yes.
we have been talking.
Right. Right.
Now, you see the Incredible Hulk, right?
Right.
Right here, I mean, you can't see it, but the Incredible Hulk comes up. We talked about the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk, now see, was a melaninated individual when they first began to draw him. He had gray or black skin,
Wow.
with these supernatural powers. And then later on, the artist changed it to green. All right, these things are no mistake. They also
No, absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not.
they also show the Jolly Green Giant, and the Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah.
If you do the research, the Jolly Green Giant was invented to encourage children of a certain generation, namely baby boomers, that generation, to eat vegetables. To eat vegetables.
Right. Right.
Now again, this has tremendous paradigm shifting implications.
Yes, it
The other,
does.
the other cartoon character that came out that whose specific creation was to encourage and program individuals to eat vegetables is Popeye.
Popeye. Right. Right. Spanish man.
He eats the spinach and he gets supernatural powers.
Right. Right.
So it,
Right.
it is no doubt, it's no doubt that these things were developed to begin to program us to believe that eating vegetables would do what? Produce supernatural abilities, increase health. Are you all with me?
Yes. Yeah.
So they showed the Incredible Hulk, and I scrolled through to try to see if, like on YouTube, we the only ones presenting the melanin, and to see if any, brothers or sisters are coming up with this information. And I scroll down, and again, I see you can't see it, but there's a drawing of a black man looking much like the Incredible Hulk picture. And then I click on that and I go to the site because they're showing a melanated individual. And
Right.
it's a site called No Icon. No Icon. And they feature an article from April the 15th of 2016. Now remember, when I looked at the other article on human photosynthesis, I made it a point to point out that the scientific uh, thesis paper was formulated and submitted by the scientific community, for peer review on March 16th of 2012. 4 years,
Right. Right.
4 years and a day before this new information came out. It was accepted on April 19th of 2012 and published 2 days later. And this is what they call, this was groundbreaking, paradigm shifting information.
Mm, mm, mm.
Talking about, something that, supposedly, as they claim, no one has ever considered before. Comparing plant photosynthesis with human photosynthesis. But it's all in the Bible. And the ancient science talks about it. Again, with the green man, that character. and every time in the Bible that they compare. And I went back, Nasi, to the recording that you did some months ago in February, where you went back and brought that article up from Newsweek.
Right.
And the reason I can go right to it, because I scroll down and I see the Newsweek cover
Right.
with this same symbolism.
Same symbolism. Right.
The woman looking in the book, I guess it's a woman or a man looking in the book with the flowers and plants growing out of her head.
Right.
This is
Now, we didn't make that connection at all. We
right.
show you that how we didn't come full circle. When the article was done, no one made, not even myself, made that connection. I the one came up with the video. I got matter of fact, I brought the video out so that when I get there, I want you to see this video, because now when you go online, I couldn't find it, but I got a copy of it.
Right.
And what they said about science and how all of this was taking place. But I'll let you get a copy of it.
And I think you recall at the time you emailed the videos. I couldn't open it up.
Right.
I couldn't get it. So,
wow.
But anyway, you talked on this. You know, the name of the article was "Grow Your Mind: The Truth About How to Boost Your Brain's Performance," and it was in this particular teaching that, you know, again, you began to further debunk this concept of the mind, focus in on the brain and the thoughts. And, you know, this is connected. This goes back. Now, see, just like we said recently, it connects with the, you know, you, myself, and Do David, we focused in on this epigenetics, this control above the gene. All of this
Above the gene. Right.
started a long time ago, and it connects with 12-strand DNA activation. What we are focused on now as we prepare ourselves to make this monumental shift from the fourth dimensional reality to the fifth dimensional reality. So I'm showing you that although we didn't have, you know, the knowledge that we have today, we hadn't developed it, that this is the starting point.
Yes.
And I said, you know, we never got off of this.
I know.
And we use this as a basis, as a fundamental basis for everything that we perceived and everything that we had decoded on this subject from that point on. That is just the truth, family. It's just the truth. So in this particular video, you know, we listened to a little bit of it yesterday. I won't play it again now. You know what was on it, where you were going in and you were, you know, talking about the, you know, cognitive and cognition.
Right. That was the key term. Right.
And that was the key term. And you had done several other teachings on that, re-emphasizing that. And again, we moved from there to get us to this point. So, you know, and you know, you had even mentioned in here, you know, how this, you know, you had alluded to this grafting. This grafting, probably, you know, we went through that, this grafting process, and you went to Romans 11 on the tape.
Right.
Look at it. You went to Romans 11, where in the scriptures it is comparing the human lineage through DNA with like a tree in which the Gentiles were grafted in.
Right.
Okay?
There you go. There that symbol is again.
There you go. The symbolism of juxtaposing the human biology with the and the human biology and processes with plant. And I don't know if I'm using the word biology right in this term, but plant biology and the process. So we get to the point, like I said, I had put this idea of photosynthesis, this process of photosynthesis in the notes months ago. And we it was if you look at the notes, that idea of photosynthesis follows a topic that I put in 64 possible combinations of DNA. And I go into that process, and then right shortly afterwards, not even a half a page, I connect that to plant photosynthesis with the topic the light of the body is the eye, the ingathering of light, and the ascension, growth of light beings in the last days. Now, family, you're going to see how perfectly, you all were on the call, how we fit that in. 12-strand DNA activation is essential to our ascension. As a matter of fact, it is part and parcel of our ascension.
Yes, you're right.
All right? So, we talked about this. And then this new information comes in, and I just connected almost a page and a half afterwards, talking about human photosynthesis as it relates to plant photosynthesis. And again, I see you can't see the visuals on this, but again, when I Google human photosynthesis, a number of images come up. Humans tinted green, having leaves and flowers coming out of them, just like that photo in Newsweek magazine.
Wow.
But again, none of them were including melanin. I checked them out.
No.
Said they weren't including melanin, and they weren't making this critical comparison between melanin, water, and light energy, and chlorophyll, water, and light energy. So I see this.
Right.
I see one representation of a black man looking exactly almost like the Incredible Hulk image, green Incredible Hulk image that they put up. So I click on that, and again, it goes to this no icon page, and I'm just going to read it for you now, see, before we get into it.
Excellent.
The question that they pose is, could human photosynthesis power the future? Electrical power.
Wow.
Electrical power from melanin. Dr. Solis has developed a technology that utilizes the properties of melanin, the animal analog of chlorophyll. So when they mentioned Dr. Solis, it rung a bell. And I went back to the information, and I'll say our ancestors have provided us, but that our higher consciousness has provided, relative to this article, Human Photosynthesis and Alzheimer's Disease. And I knew the name. The citation is Herrera, AS. These are the people that were involved in this research of human photosynthesis, Nasi, in 2012. And it's a person named Lezic J. Del Carma, Arias Esperanza M, Solus Arias, Solus Aria, PE. And I said, oh, Herrera and Solus. These are the people that accompanied this woman that presented, that I obviously wrote the article, Tung Ming Liu. She corresponded with them. The corresponding authors are Arturo Solis Herrera, Human Photosynthesis Study Center. Now go back to the other article. Family, y'all got to know we are doing this. We are the ones that are doing this. We are the ones that are doing this. And it's talking about Dr. Solis developing a technique or technology that utilizes the property of melanin, the animal analog to chlorophyll. Quote, his melanin-based polyhydroxindole photocell absorbs a broad spectrum of electromagnetic radiation and converts it into electricity. So what they did, Nasik, is what they always do, is make a synthetic copy of something that is organic. In this case, it's melanin, and then develop a technology off of it.
That's what they do.
But what they're not doing, Nasik, is showing us how to develop it within ourselves.
Knock on. That's right. That's absolutely right. They must stay within the inorganic and defame, and dehumanize.
That's right.
The organic,
That's right. So it goes on to say he has also developed a pharmaceutical claimed to enhance human photosynthesis for increased health. Now, that's as far as it goes. Like I said, most people, Dasik, when we looked at, what you brought up the other day in St. John, the 6th chapter, when, the allegorical character Jesus or Yeshua began to talk about this dynamic transformation from human to divine, it says many of the disciples said, what? This is a hard hearing.
Right.
A hard saying, a hard teaching. And they stopped following him. Y'all remember we covered this.
We covered it, right?
We covered it. And then I made the point to say that most people, when we start to talking about the energetic qualities of, our existence, most people, they are aware of the 7 primary chakras, and that the 7 primary chakras, family, are connected. This is common knowledge, that they are connected to what? The 7 primary organic systems of the body. Didn't we point this out?
Yes, we do.
And I said that most people, like this doctor, this eminent doctor, they're going to stop and just focus on the human health issues. In other words, people are just going to want to activate and cleanse the chakras to improve their health. And now, that's going to be right.
But yet they would continue to make tons and tons of money from it, because it's not an eternal. It's a situation that may help, but eventually you still would, without the ascension and the process being used from an organic position, that you're going to get sick and you're going to end up having to go with the pill.
That's correct. That's correct. And what underlies this is the fact that the so-called mainstream uh, science that is connected with mainstream pharmacology and medicine. Now, see, they totally exclude melanin as an
You're
essential
right.
as an essential
Right.
process, even to health. Even to health. We're not
Right.
even talking about let's not even talk about 12 strand DNA activation or any of this, higher stuff. The proof of that fact, and my brother Malkiel brought this out yesterday, is the fact, and I see that when they do these scientific tests, they use melanin recessive mice, white mice.
Wow.
Is that not a fact?
Wow.
Is that not a fact?
Wow.
With
Wow.
the little red and pink eyes, running around half blind, three blind mice.
Right. Right.
Because we know from a scientific standpoint, our ancient ancestors told us that when you are melanin recessive, when you suffer from albinism, and in particular rather, I'll call cutaneous albinism, it affects your eyesight.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It affects your eyesight primarily. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the science of that. But they use white mice, and then they that is that information therefore is the baseline of their science. Again, excluding melanin, and then they develop these pharmacological drugs and vitamins and supplements. Now, see, and things like that based on that.
Right. Right.
Now,
Right.
this guy is coming along with so-called groundbreaking information. He's including the melanin in there, but it's in the same it's in the same arena.
Right. Right.
Developing, trying to patent a pharmaceutical instead of teaching us, if he has this knowledge, and I doubt if he does, how to activate these things within ourselves. It's always take a pill. It's always converted into
Take a pill.
technology and utilize this technology.
Right.
Like I'm emphasizing,
Right.
family. We came in here. We emanated in here with all of the equipment, all of the instructions necessary to do this. We don't have to take a pill. And I'm getting ready to tell you, you don't have to eat another vegetable in your life. Now, that's very dynamic, but I'm going to prove
Very dynamic.
that's very radical, but I'm going to prove it to you. And I see they made a mistake in trying to put some deceptive information out there. We're going to get to it right now.
Nah.
See, when
Okay.
when your family, we've approached this from a group position. We've been saying this from the outset that getting on this call has created this dynamic energetic vortex that we are all a part of. Now, we had to get over some humps and some speed bumps in the process, but we stuck to it. All of us stuck to it. And we got beyond those things, increased that understanding and knowledge, connected, now see, with that knowledge that is internal within us,
Right. Right.
began to interact with the ancestors. And this thing has grown and grown exponentially up to this point. I'm attempting to show you this very carefully and very emphatically, that we are part of the ascension process. We don't have to wait on it.
Great, 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 great.
That we can present this information that no one else is presenting in this fashion. No one. And leading us through a step-by-step process of how of understanding exactly what is 12-strand DNA, how it operates, what is melanin, and to syncretize all of the information from the ancient texts and ancient philosophers, ancient teachers, our ancient ancestors, on up into the so-called Nazi new scientific discoveries.
Right, right.
No one else is doing it. I looked. I showed y'all I looked. So I made the statement that quite possibly we don't even have to eat to do this, Nasi. Now, I'm not going to make this the major point. I'm just mentioning it. Because when I went and looked into the articles and to see how they were doing the comparison with plant photosynthesis and human photosynthesis, what I found was this. And I'm showing a graph, Nasi, where they got a plant on the right side. And it's supposed to be representing plant photosynthesis. And then under that, they have the chloroplasts, which represent the chlorophyll.
Right.
That is involved, that interacts with water and sunlight energy, solar energy, to, power the plant and produce oxygen, the byproduct. All right. Then they have a little stick figure on the left side. And the stick figure is representing respiration. Now understand, it's not representing human photosynthesis, but respiration. But okay, we'll deal with that. Because I'm going to make my point, and you all have heard this before, because Do David has mentioned it recently, that that the possibility is, I'm not suggesting it, but the possibility is that you don't have to eat anything, plant, animal, nothing, from now on. And you can participate in human photosynthesis. So in a slick way to divert, in a slick way to divert, they show the plant producing oxygen and the human breathing in the oxygen. And instead of melanin below the human figure to correspond to the chloroplast that contain the chlorophyll, they don't have a melaninome, a melanin cell. They have mitochondrial DNA or the mitochondria. But we'll accept that because we understand that we only get that from our mothers. Emphasizing what we've, confirming what we've been emphasizing all along, relative to what? The female. The female, what? Determining the genetics.
Right.
But what they're supposed to have now is the melaninome. Because it's the melanin that determines all of that. So they try to misdirect it. But we already know the science. They can't fool us. And then what he exhales after inhaling the oxygen is carbon dioxide. Right? Carbon is a form of melanin.
Right.
And this is the gaseous form of melanin. So that is expelled. And again, the plants use that carbon dioxide to begin the process all over.
That's clear.
And they also have in the equation sugars. If you're taking note, write that down. Because now, see, we're going to have a whole new perspective of this process. So, okay, they didn't include melanin in here. Fine. Well, this science right here that you're seeing right here, family, is the basis for breatharianism.
Wow.
See, now, see, this is a step up from intermittent.
Yeah, it's a step up.
It's a step up. It's the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Intermittent fasting. But that's why I say I'm not suggesting it. You know, let us transition through this intermittent fasting. And the basis of intermittent fasting is what? That you eat more vegetables or intake more in terms of vegetable material or less.
Right, right, right.
Is that you take in less.
That's the objective. That's the objective.
That's the
But it's not said. It's not said that because the emphasis is on what you take in during this window of what we would call metabolization.
That's
So they emphasize the real portion that you have to allow for this metabolization.
That's correct.
And then that way you got the same amount of energy. I done proven it because of my workouts and things. Right. It worked.
Now see, that window is smaller than the window that we used to consume in, correct?
Absolutely right.
So again, it's emphasizing, the underlying aspect. It's emphasizing consuming less.
Less. Yeah.
So again, the next step up is breatharianism, and we see the symbiotic relationship between respiration and photosynthesis. You're not eating the plants. You're just enjoying the byproduct of the plant producing energy, and it's enjoying the byproduct of you producing energy. Do we see that? And it says that sugars are a part of that. And now see, we're gonna get into the point that we made yesterday, that sugar diabetes, that high sugar, might not be a disease like that. It might be an indicator telling us that our process, that our energy producing process is malfunctioning. And it don't have nothing to do with what we eat or what we don't eat. Are y'all with me? So under this diagram showing the plant and the human, the plant with the process of photosynthesis and the human with the process of respiration, it states that the major inputs and outputs of respiration and photosynthesis and the link between humans and plants. So they trying to, instead of making it between human photosynthesis again and plant photosynthesis, they are trying to link the two with respiration and photosynthesis, human respiration and photosynthesis. But okay, we'll accept that. We'll accept that. But even in the article, it states in many ways respiration and photosynthesis are the opposite of each other. So again, now see, they're showing us polar opposites in what? Dynamic interaction. That is dualistic. It is not holistic. So this is an obvious attempt to do what? Keep us locked into the dualistic matrix. To keep us locked into the dualistic matrix. It goes on to say respiration breaks down molecules like what? Sugar, fat, and protein. and captures their energy to do work inside the cell. So what is this telling you? You can get energy just from breathing alone. From breathing alone. Y'all not hearing me. In contrast, photosynthesis uses the energy of light from the sun to build sugars, to be used for plant growth and energy. And we're going to find out the same way that plants just use light energy from the sun to produce energy for growth and operation. Melanin uses the full spectrum of not only light energy, but sound energy, color energy, vibrational energy to do the same thing. That you can build sugars and proteins and fat to a certain degree by way of human photosynthesis. This is what they do not want you to see. So they concentrated on respiration. In the article, I'll continue on. It says, now this is the newer article now. It says that plants utilize the green pigment chlorophyll to absorb energy from sunlight to break down carbon dioxide into sugars. So where do they get the carbon dioxide from, family? Where do the plants get the carbon dioxide from? Think with me.
Oxygen.
Where do the plants, now think carefully now, where do the plants get the carbon dioxide from?
Oxygen.
No,
They get it from us.
they get it from us doing what?
Breathing.
Breathing in and out.
Breathing. It gets it from human respiration.
Respirate, right.
All right? I want us to follow this process now because it's very important. The plants get their energy, get a major element of their energy producing ability from the respiratory exhalation of human respiration. Simply put, a human exhaling. That's where they get the carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide formulates into sugars within the plant. Listen closely. This is well known and taught in probably every elementary school across the world. Now, again, see, compulsory educational system programming us to perceive natural processes in a certain way. But here's the 8-ball. You know, what is not as well known is that dark colored pigment called melanin found in the skin of humans and other mammals can absorb various types of electromagnetic radiation. In fact, melanin appears capable of absorbing a much broader spectrum of such radiation than chlorophyll. So it's just like we said in previous classes, what we've been asserting, that the process of the solar system, bear with me, that the process, here we go, relative to the solar system, right, is inefficient. And we showed the one graph of the, and I can't find it right now, of how the plant absorbs sunlight. Let's say 100 units of sunlight. 100 units of sunlight only retains 1%, and the 99%, it only retains the 1% or 1 unit. The 99% is returned back into the atmosphere, now see. And then the herbivore or the vegetarian or the vegan eats the plant. And of that 1 unit of energy, they only retain what? 1% of that. And then 99% of that 1 unit is what? Returned back into the atmosphere. Then the carnivore comes along and eats the herbivore that eats the planet and only retains 1% of the energy and returns 99% back into the atmosphere. And we said that that was a grossly inefficient process. But here it is that the compulsory education system, not only that, but society at large develops these characters like the Jolly Green Giant and Popeye to encourage us to do what? Continue to focus on getting energy from plants. Now, if y'all can't see that that is a diversion, a diversionary tactic, if you all can't see that that is an attempt to keep you locked into a repetitive loop, a reoccurring loop that is a simulation of what is occurring organically by way of melanin in terms of producing energy, I really don't know. You're missing the class. You're missing the class. You're missing what it is that we are telling you. We must begin to what? Change our perceptions and let go of what it is that we've learned. It sounded good, and it has some benefit to stop eating meat, stop eating the herbivore, and eat the plant. But it's still grossly inefficient. And the emphasis must be, as we what? Ascend out of that matrix, that repetitive loop. The emphasis must be on not understanding how to maximize what humans eat. We have to shift our focus and shift our attention on what divine beings eat. Is that making any sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
The divine being of the Bible said, if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. The cattle on 1,000 hills is mine. Everything coming out the ground is mine. I don't eat that. Are y'all,
Yeah.
are y'all with me?
Yeah.
Going back,
Okay.
going back to the article, going back to the article, and back to this so-called new information that is really ancient. In fact, melanin appears to be capable of absorbing a much broader spectrum of such radiation than chlorophyll. So this is where really the comparison ends, that we are much more efficient at processing energy from the full spectrum range than a plant is. So why are we focused on plants? This was proven when scientists noticed various fungi growing in radioactive environments actually seeming to be thriving. Is radioactive energy a form of energy? Of course it is. So these fungi are thriving in that radioactive environment. Testing of these fungi proved the melanin producing their dark color was absorbing gamma radiation and converting it into energy. Don't you know that you have that ability, family, melanated brothers and sisters? We each have that ability.
We have to have it. No question.
And it don't have
No question.
it don't have nothing to do with food. It don't have nothing to do with you consuming a plant.
Now, Eitai,
Yes.
you know, here, these points here should be fundamental to us, but based upon the programming, you can't even imagine, not consuming plants, and you say, well, oh, I'm a plant too. That's what the scriptures say. We can easily try to, rationalize it, make it make sense. But if the plant photosynthesize, and that word sense, photosynthesis, we talk about light coming into the sense organ. So when we're talking about now, if the plant has the ability to absorb it, why not you having the ability? Because you have the same makeup, same energy. You understand that created the plant is what, brother? It's possible for you. Well, not. But I'm just saying that to say that how we've been programmed.
Right. I know it's a quantum leap, but again, we got to move. We got to move in the direction of truth, where it leads us. If we're
expeditiously,
expeditiously, right. If we gonna make this transition that is upon us, and the thing of it is, family, as we elevate in consciousness, we are creating the necessity to escape, because this reality is losing its integrity. It's losing its integrity. And these energetic forces are starting to erupt and manifest themselves in the earth right now, in the atmosphere, in the cosmos. Testing of these fungi proved the melanin producing their dark color was absorbing the gamma radiation and converting it to energy. The article, Ionizing Radiation Changes the Electrical Properties of Melanin and Enhances the Growth of Melanized Fungi, published by Ekaterina Dadachova, reviews this discovery. And they keep calling it discovery, but that ain't no discovery. Long before the above article was published, now here it goes, Mexican researcher Dr. Arturo Solis Herrera, medical surgeon, excuse me, ophthalmologist, and pharmacologist of the Human Photosynthesis Study Center, was performing research on disorders of the human eye. Now, again, now see, this is this first article that we discovered about a week ago. Relative to human photosynthesis and Alzheimer's disease. Now see, Alzheimer's disease, now this is going to connect it to the Newsweek article. Alzheimer's disease is when the cognitive ability of the brain is what? Affected.
Right.
So that goes back to the Newsweek article where we see.
I remember.
Where we see the leaves and the flowers growing out the head of the woman.
Right.
I'm getting ready to connect this up. So this Arturo Solis Herrera, this doctor, this ophthalmologist, this pharmacologist, is the one that was on the ground level and corresponded on this research. And in this article, family, is producing a product, both a technological device and a device that is used in conjunction with technology, and a pharmaceutical device, something that you can take or spray on you or inject in you. I don't know how, whatever. So it says that it connects this guy, Dr. Arturo Solis Herrera, up with the former research paper that we took a look at. His team started discovering the importance of the pigment melanin, known by the chemical name of polyhydroxindole. That's what they call melanin, polyhydroxindole. So you know it has to do with what? Hydrogen and oxygen, right?
Right.
Hydroxindole. This is very important. And now, see, you brought some of this science to bear when you was talking about not only when you followed up with the talk on intermittent fasting
Yeah.
and the chemical process.
Right.
This is all, it's all basic, and it's all related, it's all interrelated. For some reason, melanin seemed to protect the tissues of the eye. But his team could not completely understand why the protective effect was taking place. And we had mentioned this aspect of the protective quality of melanin that we included in the notes.
Right.
Now, see, where we talked about brain development in our mother's womb.
Right.
In embryology. And we went to, what was it, the 139th Psalm, where it says, He covers me in my mother's womb. That was talking about the central role of melanin in brain development in your mother's womb. So this is all
Eitai.
together. This is all connected together. And they use in terms like for some reason. But we know exactly why. Because it is a protective substance. After extracting and applying melanin therapeutically to the eyes of patients, they saw results they claim were impressive. As time passed, it was discovered, again that word discovered, that melanin was actually collecting energy from electromagnetic radiation and using it to split water atoms into what? Hydrogen, oxygen, and 4 additional electrons. The process can also act in reverse. Plants can't do this, y'all. Plants can't do this. This is a process that is inherent within you. It is a natural process in melaninated beings. This process can act in reverse. Such a reaction is not exothermic, releasing energy, but endothermic, storing energy. Very important. How does our body store food energy, family? What specifically does it store food energy in? It stores it in fat cells, right?
Right. That was brought out, Eitai. You remember in the intermittent fasting, that was the main thing that we brought out about how it stores it in fat. But what happens, most people never get a chance to use their fat because they constantly eating and you're always operating on the sugar.
Come on, man. Come on. And so, you know, and it's showing, family, it's showing the fact that, again, human photosynthesis involving melanin and respiration is a far more efficient process than eating, than the consumption of plant or animal material. Doesn't matter. Still stored in fat.
Right. Right.
Dr. Arturo Herrera claims that the hydrogen atom is then sent to the cells where it can be recombined with oxygen to what? Produce energy. The human body version of a fuel cell. This is the process, family, that you're going to have to use to fuel up your ascension vehicle.
Yes.
It is going to give you a source of energy that is unimaginable.
Yeah, that's a fact. I know by virtue of just the process I implemented with the intermittent fasting, the energy that I have from that with eating only 6 hours out of a whole day, 18 hours I'm fasting.
Absolutely.
You know?
And the cells can then use this energy, listen, to supplement, now see, the sugars the body provides them.
Wow.
That's just supplemental energy. That's just sugars are just the energies that balance out the process as a supplement.
Yeah.
So if you have too much sugar, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have sugar. It means that your energy producing centers are not what? Fully activated, that they are not cleansed, that they might be damaged, that they might not be powered up, now see.
Yeah. That's right. That's
This is
right,
why
Eitai.
we're emphasizing that you start focusing in on the 7 primary chakras. This is fundamental. It should be academic to us at this point,
Yeah.
and not trying to perfect your ascension vehicle through the use of plants, plant energy, which you only get a small portion of, Nasi, and it is a byproduct of an inefficient system. In this process, melanin acts like a catalyst, which promotes the chemical reaction, but it is not consumed by it. Why? Because energy can't be, it has no beginning, no end. You can't destroy it. You can only, it can only change in form. Dr. Herrera has also developed a technology that produces electrical output using melanin's ability to absorb the full spectrum of electromagnetic energy and split water. His photocells utilize a solution of melanin in water and a pair of electrodes. Now here, NICEAG is the technology. A voltage potential is sent from the solution to the electrodes that can power LEDs. Recently, he was able to produce 600, and I believe this is megavolts, and 200 mega amps from a photocell. The output was used to power a music player. He believes that the output can be increased and eventually power a vehicle that would never need to be refueled. Well, they talking about a vehicle like a car, electric car. What about your ascension vehicle? The ascension vehicle of your body. See, again, no one is talking about that but us. If it can power a music player, it can power your ascension from the and will, it can and will power your ascension, what? From the 4th dimension to the 5th dimension. Does it make sense? Think of a solar cell, but in this case, the electromagnetic spectrum is much wider than just the visible spectrum. That's solar energy. So the melanin-based cell could harness radio waves, infrared heat, and more, allowing it to pull power from a much wider array of environmental free energy. Herrera believes that the energy being produced by the melanin is from a broad portion of electromagnetic spectrum, everything from gamma rays to infrared light. He has submitted a series of patent applications covering this technology. So again, you know, we see the brother being represented here, but they're not talking about powering the melanin within your body, but using that melanin, extracting that melanin from you to develop technology. So as we get ready to close, we're going to go refer back again to that Newsweek article, you know, developing the power of the mind, the power of the mind, increasing cognitive ability, all of that. So, continuing on with this new science, we make these points that the photosynthesis process in human beings is similar to plants. However, the reaction is in both ways, and melanin, the human chlorophyll, can absorb the full electromagnetic spectrum. Therefore, our photosynthesis is more flexible, that is, reversible, and efficient. All electromagnetic spectrum. But again, we had been in previous classes, up to months ago, been emphasizing this fact that this relationship that we've been taught to focus on and rely on, that has to do with this inefficient process, bear with me, this inefficient process of what? Receiving or consuming energy from plants or animals is just as inefficient, one way or the other. That this locks us into what? This enclosed solar system, which is part of the illusion. It's part of the simulated matrix. Now, see, but it locks us into.
Absolutely,
And this, when we look at what's, all we got to do is just pan back, press pause, and take a look that we are being locked into a system that requires us to do what? Be highly competitive in terms of fighting for sources of energy. I'm talking about sources of human energy, or sources of animal energy, or sources of plant energy. You all can see how, just looking at plants, how they grow, how competitive they are, how they race what? Upward. Especially in a bush or something like that, or especially in a forest, they're in a race upward to do what? Be exposed to the sunlight to absorb it in. The ones that don't make it up there, they don't make it. They're not as strong, right? Their root system,
right.
Their root systems are not as complex or vital, and they lose the competition. The same way with animals. They are in a constant, continuous competition for what? Energy. From plants or other animals, correct?
Right.
If we don't understand that that's not the dualistic matrix, and that thing is imperfect, inefficient, repetitive, self-refueling, self-perpetuating, then our eyes are not open. Our eyes are not open.
We have to know that.
So this is what we have now. See, we have been emphasizing from one degree to another, or at one level, and that we continue to emphasize, and it is causing, as we rise in our consciousness and in our awareness. Now, see, they must bring these things forth.
Absolutely, Dan.
And present this energy. Didn't the scripture tell us that in the last days, the things that would be in darkness would be what? Brought to light.
Yeah.
But see, we thought a God was going to be bringing that to light. We had no idea that as we went inside and activated these energy systems and began our ascension, that we would be the ones shedding the light as we rise out of We must understand this. So let's get back to this new information, and now see, we're going to close it out. And what I have on the screen, Nasi, is the Newsweek article, Grow Your Mind, right? and it's got the woman looking at
Choose how to boost your brain.
right, growing your mind, how to boost your brain's performance, and it's got a head and shoulder shot of a woman or a man, I don't know what it is, with these leaves and flowers coming out of your hair. Now, why does Arturo Solis Herrera, Dr. Herrera, in his new book, Human Photosynthesis, almost have the same picture of the woman with these flowers coming out of her hair on the cover of her book, of his book?
Yeah, that is called it's connected.
So we got the article and we covered that, thoroughly. All of this should give us supreme confidence and make us secure in the fact that we are part of a very dynamic cosmic process that we call ascension, family. We have the Now, see, we have the ability inherent within us to do this. We have the information within us. When information is so-called new information comes out, we have always, Nasi, demonstrated the ability to decode that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Relative to what? The particular point we are at in our evolution, in our consciousness evolution, in the process of ascension or raising our consciousness. So all of the information,
absolutely,
what we covered yesterday, Nasi, was just what we talked about, this ability to what? Gather this information, this esoteric information, and to process it and to utilize it in the process of ascension, in the process of escaping this simulated matrix, the simulated box, and moving ourselves outside of it. But we must continue to conceptualize what it means to think human with human thoughts, and we have to be able to discern the difference between thinking human thoughts and operating from a human perspective, and thinking divine thoughts and operating from a divine perspective. This is going to be essential because our perspective, our perception above the gene is critical. It's critical. Human thought won't get this to you. Human activity, human behavior won't get you here.
Slicker.
Won't get it.
Kane.
Slicker. Alba.
Uh-huh.
I just got a phone call from Nathan. Say you need to call up on high. It's an emergency.
Who he said I need to call?
Well, I